This is Brett with the Indie Comics Dispatch and broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep within the Milky Way galaxy. This is broadcast from the Dispatch.
What's going on,
sir?
How you doing? How's everything?
I'm good. I came in hot.
Yeah.
I'm running behind. But I'm here.
Hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running.
Has
again, this is something you already know. I sent you the ICD Kickstarter video earlier. And that shit's hard work, man. You know, like making those videos is tough.
It is. It's very hard work. Like I was telling you earlier when we were talking about it. Like I did it for Stars, and of course I had the trailer going, and I was talking and had the stuff playing over it. Like I got to play around with, like, I'm good with After Effects and stuff like that, which, you know, I'll show you some things that I've done.
Yeah.
Other people have seen it, but it's still difficult because all the takes, because you'll be like saying something like this book is okay. You got to stop it and go over. So I'm hoping like all the videos I've been doing, like the Silver So Monday and stuff like that, that it'll help and it could do less takes. But I got a feeling when I did this for Cypher Team issue 2.
I mean, yeah. And you're right, all the different takes, and then they all get jumbled up, and I don't know.
That's the hard part.
It's a pain. It's a pain, but I'm proud of the Kickstarter video, and I think it turned out well.
You did amazing. You did amazing.
Thank you.
You should pat yourself on the back. You did great.
And speaking of Kickstarter, I just dropped the ICD Kickstarter link in the chat of all of the platforms. We're up to 40 follows. I would like, my personal goal is to have 50 before we launch, which we've been just dragging along slowly, getting to that 40, and I'm proud to be there. Don't get me wrong, but I'd love to have 50 by the time we launch.
And I think you all out there can do it, because
me too.
You know, y'all really support us, and we're grateful. And I think y'all can do it. I think y'all probably get us over 50. So
I hope. So you have a Kickstarter coming up also. We launched the same day.
For Cypher Team issue 2. I just wanted to go ahead and get out the gate fast. Like I actually talked to my printer today, because they recognized something with the proof, and they called me and like, hey, we recognize that we didn't print, because I have my own specifications for my books, the size, the dimensions and stuff, and they recognized that it wasn't that, and they called me. It was like, do you mind? We'll change it back. I'm like, yes, please change it back. You know, because we don't want your book to be different, like, because people will notice that.
Give your printer a shout out, because they've been giving you shout outs, so give them a shout out.
Comics Wellspring. So all of y'all out there, if you're looking for a printer, good prices, get books to you hella fast. We'll actually give you advice on printing. Like if you don't know what's up, or if you did something wrong, they will tell you. These are the folks, whenever I joke and say that my first book, they were like, are you sure you wouldn't print that? These are the same people. But yeah, Comics Wellspring, definitely check them out. They have an Instagram page. They've been doing a lot. They do trading cards, posters.
We're maybe going to do some trading cards with the ICD Kickstarter. Maybe I'm working on it. There's some few more hurdles to jump for us to be able to do trading cards, but I hope we get there.
We'll get there.
So I'm excited about tonight's show, because we've talked about it a lot. This trend towards indie creators creating animation out of their stuff, and we got we're supposed to have 3 guests. Only 2 are backstage right now. I'm hoping the third shows up. But the 2 that are backstage each have a unique take on doing animation. One is a straight up animated version of their book. The other is in a computer game that they'll talk about. So I'm ready to introduce. Are you ready to introduce?
Oh yeah. Let's get this thing going.
Let's do it. All right. So first up, Wilson Lee Jr. is the founder and CEO of Crump & Sons LLC, CNS Comics, and CNS Publishing. He is a lifetime student of literature and has always had a passion for the written word after pursuing his undergraduate degree in English. And I can never say that. It's
pedagogy.
Pedagogy. It's the study of teaching, correct?
Oh, okay.
Exactly. That's
See,
it.
I know what it is. I just can't say it. Wilson chose to forgo classroom teaching for a lifetime of adventure. Wilson, welcome back to Indie Comics Dispatch, man.
Yeah, man.
I always love being here. I'm glad that you guys have me out. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. And I love, your series, Tales of the Stars. It's always pulled on my nostalgia or something. I don't know. I've told you before, I just love your writing. I love the storyline. If you guys haven't checked it out, you need to, cnscomics.com. I am dropping the Kickstarter link
There you go.
in the chat. And your Kickstarter launches in like 3 days, right?
Friday?
This Friday the 23rd. I did not know it was Mortal Kombat Day, so we have like a Facebook Kickstarter party. But if nobody shows up because they're watching Mortal Kombat, it happens in life. We're gonna have a good time regardless. But it is Mortal Kombat Day. Respect to the Mortal Kombat. It's I'm like pumped about it myself. But
you'll have a good day. You'll have a good day still.
I managed to find I managed to find the first, I think it was like 7 minutes of the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh yeah,
because they
like
released it on
HBO
YouTube.
Max.
Yeah, they released it, so I saw it. I'm like, yo, this is not the Mortal Kombat I watched when I was young.
This is what it always should have been. You know?
Yes, exactly. So.
Our next guest just popped in backstage, and he's next on my bio list, so I'm going to read him next. Sorry, Greg. Tyler F. Martin, founder of Godhood Comics and writer and creator of The Antagonist, Mega Woman, and Sharpshooter. And his personal IG is Tyler the Animator. So, I mean, why wouldn't we have him on the show? Tyler, man, welcome back to the Dispatch.
What's up, guys? What's up, Brett, fellas? Honored to be here, man. So excited for your Kickstarter, Brett. It's crazy how many people just have come out. The works and your support. Like, man, you've definitely got the community's back, and we've got yours too, boss.
Thank you. We I've been like, I was talking to Tier before. We're up to 41 follows now. I just reloaded it. We're up to 41 follows on the project, which my personal goal is to get to 50, and I feel like that would be like amazing to be at 50 follows at pre-launch. So
I'll say pre-launch follow for 40 is huge, bro. Like, I was at around like 15 before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you are wow.
I think my highest was like maybe 12. No, 14 was my highest. So
yeah, feeling a little better then.
I need the link because I think somehow I am not yet.
Well, I dropped it in the chat, so you can check on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube, and it'll be in the chat, and I'll send it in the private chat.
I'll jump right over there because I got to get in on that.
And next, a part of the ICD team, part of our newsroom, and I'm happy to have on the show where he can speak to something that he's knowledgeable on versus speaking about werewolves.
Yeah.
Greg Moquid is the co-founder and CVO of SeerNova Comics. He's the creator and writer of SeerNova's flagship title, The Seer Chronicles, and their comic series other comic series such as Ink, Scales, and more. When he isn't writing, he is recording podcasts, business-related tasks, and getting excited about their upcoming video game.
Yes.
Greg, welcome.
Yeah.
And I'm going to drop your I'm copying it right now, your Kickstarter link in the chat. If anybody is out there and wants to go click on CNS and SeerNova's links here, and you can follow those projects for when they launch. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm okay. I woke up like 20 minutes ago.
I'm always awed by your enthusiasm, Greg.
He'll talk more tonight since it's not about werewolves.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
We're sorry about that, Greg. Yes, we're not.
No, gentlemen, welcome to Indie Animation Night. And so we got different styles of animation, different takes on animation. We have a computer game. We have a more traditional animation style, a more kind of the more 3D animation style, all here tonight. So I'm really interested to hear your take on stuff and the next wave of indie creations. And if I'm sorry about the background noise, my son is apparently beastily walking up the stairs. But first, before we jump into the meat of tonight's show, let's hit headlines. All right, every week we like to just start with some headlines, and I'm getting a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure if it's just me. Start with, just to loosen up, talk about some headlines that's going on in the world. These are all current headlines, and at least in theory pertain to tonight's show. So the first one up this week in anime, indie visionaries and alternative animation. And I chose this one because I had no idea I knew there's thing. I didn't know it was called alternative animation. So my daughters in particular watch these shows on YouTube where it's just like people like moving toys around and stuff, like, and that's apparently alternative animation. And so I don't know. I saw it. It spoke to me. I thought we'd start with that one tonight. Do you think there's room for comic creators inside indie animation?
I think it's the natural progression, personally.
And I guess in particular, my question for as far as alternative animation, like, do you think that's a step between what you guys are doing? I don't know. I find alternative animation kind of annoying. I'm going to be honest.
The toys, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't get me. What do you guys?
Because they're just like playing with toys and like scripting the toy work, right?
Yeah.
So the toys would have to be characters of the comic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So for me at least, I spend enough money on animation.
Right.
I feel like for right now the 2D animation is more expensive because now I have to get action figures made. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I hear what Tyler's saying.
What you saying?
Toys is always like the dream, right? We all want to be in-game George Lucas, and produce that lifetime of work that people just are down with your stuff forever. But like you're talking about single producing something like an action figure, the individual cost of that is I mean, there's some people who make some really neat stuff, but depending on what you're trying to get and the range of emotion you're looking for, it's just the individual creation of it is just, it's hard to justify that cost at this point in the game, for me at least.
Yeah, same as independence.
Right.
I've only gotten 2 action figures made of my characters, and I think getting both of them made.
My question: what does that run?
For both of them, it was about 500 for both.
Dang, a P or together, like 500.
It was like 250 for one and 250 for the other one.
Was it like an actual action figure, or was it like a 3D model?
Nope, actual. Hold on.
So you're already leagues ahead of the rest.
Oh yeah. I've talked to some guys about it, and
So
it's really
and
straight up action.
Kunoichi.
Yeah,
those are the only 2 I got done.
Well, for $250 a piece, I see why.
Yeah, and then I have figures too, 3D models that one of my friends did for me for Orisha Exos. One of them is the mech, and one of them is the main character. That one wasn't that much. Because he was a friend also. He's a friend, so but those were 250. So I'm just like, I'm gonna hang tight. Can't do that again.
So given the ability to do 2D animation, you're the only one that can right now.
Yeah, just with those 2. Man, I can bring in like
episode.
Get my Spawn action figure, have them fight Spawn.
Sober's epic fights, man. You just I'm fighting all over.
Blah, blah, blah.
2D background sketched out, black and white, busting through the paper. I can see the vision.
Because I haven't seen the alternative. So like when you said that, you said it was action figures. I automatically thought like, what was that? Team America. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be alternative animation. Although that's
a guy, Father Cosmic, on Instagram that his team does this with Transformer toys. And I auditioned to be the voice of Starscream for him, but I did not make the cut. So like, it's really dope though. Like what he's doing is really dope. It's like stop motion animation. It's kind of that old school, taking it back to where You move them one piece at a time. They do a really good job with the special effects they add in and layer over things, the voice effects. Like there are some really neat things getting done. I don't hate on much. If the story is good, you can have cardboard cutouts that you're bouncing on strings, and I'll roll with it if you're telling a good story. So
yeah, exactly. For me, it's all about the story. I know they have there's one that is actually on Crunchyroll. I cannot think of the name of it, but it's like a samurai like type of one, and the same thing. They're using dolls, and I know they have a really dope song, really dope soundtrack. But that's what I thought too, like that. And then there's another one from back in the day. They all had different vehicles and stuff like that. I can't think of the name of that either. So,
well, that's the next headline too. Is after alternative animation, the next kind of stop is stop motion. Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever thought about doing stop motion? I mean, we've kind of already talked about that with the action figures. I guess you would need that built in, but there's so many apps now that you can download for free. Really, my kids were doing stop motion with Legos, and we're doing stuff with Legos with a free app that they downloaded, and so. Stop motion is one of those free almost alternatives to animation. Did any of you guys ever start there?
No, I've never thought about stop motion. I am a fan of stop motion, especially growing up in the 90s and Tim Burton and all of his, his kind of stories. But again, I think it takes you back to us being independents. We've got to figure out what cost us the least amount of money, right? It would be great for all of us to say, hey, we're making a living off our comics, and we're doing this and doing that. But I think right now we're all at a place where, okay, how can I keep more money in my pocket while producing great work? You know what I mean? Yep. So stop motion, 2D animation. It's just, you got to have some kind of product. So for me, it was always like, damn.
Yeah. For me, that was always a no. Too much work goes into that. I actually went to school for animation for a little bit, then I changed degrees.
Did I, bro. We'll talk about that. I dropped out.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. But I would rather do animation, like 2D animation, drawing each, like moving the paper, drawing each layer. I would rather do that than stop motion.
Oh wow!
Being honest, because stop motion is just it's a lot, and then like if you have action figures who. With the quote unquote kung fu grip, which pretty much means their hands open and close and stuff like that. You got to implement all of that. So you're using those articulation, wrist articulation, forearm articulation.
Shots per movement or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny that there's behind the scenes videos on YouTube of Tim Burton Night Before Christmas, Nights Before Christmas, and how you have to move each individual joint.
Yeah.
Finger, like you said, it's very tedious.
Frame by frame.
There was like 11, frame. It was like 11 frame actors on Jack Skellington every shot.
Yeah,
wow,
it's crazy. I'd rather draw it.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion of everybody else. The idea of stop motion is too far, unless like I start printing out like pictures of my characters and glued them to popsicle sticks, and like I can afford that and I can put it down like that. But you know what I mean? Like
idea.
I'll take it back on you, but kid style. But it's like there's a lot of, and I think that's gonna be like a theme for all of us all the way through each one of these layers is like animation costs money.
Right.
Yeah. If you can't do it yourself, then you gotta pay somebody. And they charge, some of them charge by the second. I want this many like whole dollars for a second, and I'm like, damn, I gotta learn how to animate.
I've been talking to the Zong Bros, and I'm gonna definitely use them. The Zong Brothers, I'm gonna use them in the future. But I'm like, oh man, I need about 7 more Kickstarters.
I found a guy, and part of our Kickstarter for the antagonist. One of our stretch goals was an animated short, 5-minute short. And the cost for it was shockingly low. And I think, it's gotten easier to animate, like Brett has said. We're lucky right now because it's gotten easier to animate these things because there's so many programs, there's so many apps, there's so many softwares where eventually I plan on going to YouTube University. I just got accepted. I'm getting into that and just kind of learning some of these programs, because it's like the things they're doing is already, it's a database online, right? It's a database. And so our jobs are to go in and kind of set these features to our characters and emotions, but the stuff is already there. The blueprints are already there and laid out.
Yep. Yep. Another cool
final
thing is
headline.
I'm sorry,
of course, no, you're good, man. Anybody watching Invincible?
Yes, 100%, son. Oh my goodness!
I read the book.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
what I was
just
saying earlier, man. It's the natural progression. Like comic books are meant to be animated.
Yeah,
like
and
Invincible
so many
is proof and pudding. It is absolute fire. I wait for Fridays. I saw Battle Beast already. I'm waiting on Conquest versus Invincible and Thrag versus Battle Beast. I need this in my life. I'm sorry you said Invincible. Like I need this, right?
I'm ready for the actual overarching arc. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking, because
we all know. Brett,
yeah, you know too.
Brett, you're gonna turn this into an Invincible night, bro.
No, not Invincible night. We're just gonna stick indie. But I mean, that's what everybody wants,
Image
right?
is sort of like almost. They're not really indie, but they'll let you ride with them a little bit.
They're not indie.
They're not. I agree with you, Tyler. So everybody wants to see their comic book animated, and it seems like more and more we're going to see that. So what is on your list of your bucket list, other than your own books, of what you would want to see animated as a series?
From the indie world right now? Or
from the indie world right now.
Temple High.
Temple High.
Yeah.
Suck up.
It would just look cool. All the fighting and everything. Yeah.
Since everybody's declared it as shonen, I would have to do it in Japanese anime style. That's what everybody looks. Everybody says it's a shonen. So that's the only way to work.
Man,
there's so many.
So much heat.
I think Harriet Tubman.
Demon Slayer. That
would be dope. So I can see that on Netflix, like straight up rated R.
Absolutely. And the way
Crescent City would be one that
that's another great one.
Also, like Castlevania style.
Yeah.
Crescent City Monsters and Castlevania style, I think would just be a really dope rendering that would and keep it black and white too, like the books are. Don't do it kind of if you're out there, call me. I'll finish the discussion with you. We can talk this out.
Newton,
that would be
give him a call. Yep. Tyler, what were you saying?
I was going to say, so Cortland Ellis, the author, the illustrator for Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, the way he draws the pages in action is just so animatic. It's probably not even a word, but it's just
now.
You know what I mean? So he did one of our covers for the antagonist, the issue 3 cover for the antagonist, and I would love to see that would be my choice.
I think it'd be
very cool. I agree with both of those actually, and I would be. David Crownson hasn't told me he's working on it as an animation, but I would be stupid to think that it's not on the back of his head to do that out of.
That's always, like you said, that's always the next goal.
Right? Yeah, it's back of all of our heads.
Yeah.
Natural. It's natural.
All right. Well, let's jump into the meat of tonight's program.
Oh, this is my first time seeing that bumper.
No, it's not. That's your second time.
Second time?
No.
My memory's bad.
Let's go around the screen and let's just talk about your projects for a moment. I know, guys, creators love to talk their own projects, but let's try to keep it, like 2 minutes talking about your project and what you got going on right now and your inspiration for taking it from comic to some form of animation, because we got different forms of animation going around the screen tonight. So, Wilson, let's start with you, man.
Sure. So if you don't know, we have a Kickstarter that's going to launch on the 23rd this Friday. We're looking to raise funds for the 4th issue of the book. And the way we've been animating is to my nostalgia. I don't know if you guys remember stuff like Pirates of the Dark Waters and this era of American animation that was, the real Western cartoon. We did some pretty dope stuff. And I also I love all the cowboy space westerns, Bebop, Trigun, Outlaw Stars, just all really good stuff. So I want everything that you touch that comes from me to feel like it comes from me, and that's where I come from. So if you're reading it and it feels nostalgic, we're probably in the same age group. You're in the middle to late 30s. This is where you come from. You're early in your 40s. Like you know what I'm talking about. So that's kind of the inspiration, is to see my stories done like I dreamt they would have been done when I dreamt them the very first time. So that's kind of the impetus there. I have seen both of the other creators here tonight, a lot of their work and what they're doing. I know there was this cut that Tyler had. I'm pretty sure this is like Destructus is like I-beam and peeps, and there's helicopters, and it's just like, you know, like this feeling that you get when you see your stuff like that is just, and I guess that's why, like, that I do it for me. It's selfish. I hope you all enjoy it, but
nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely.
All right, Tyler, let's have you go next. Tell us a little bit about the antagonists, I guess, and any other animation projects you got going on. And
yeah, well, I'm gonna piggyback off of Wilson said. It's almost so selfish, you know, which is all right, you know, for what we do is we're creators, you know. Anytime something that goes from here to paper, I mean, imagine how you feel when you finish a script, right? Imagine how we feel when that artist has sent you that first page. Imagine, and then now take it on to an actual animation style. And I think for us, that's when it's like, damn, this is legit. I have done this. It's almost a pat on the back and an award of your hard work. Like, this is not, we haven't chosen an easy lifestyle. This is very hard. Making a comic book is extremely hard. I'm in Atlanta right now, guys, and it's just hard to explain to friends and families of the things that we go through trying to put a comic book together. The stress and the solitude that it takes to get this done. So for me, animation, you know, we just did we had a $25,000 Kickstarter campaign, very successful Kickstarter campaign for the antagonist. Right. Nice. Rewards are being shipped out next month. We're getting ready to ship out the rewards. The book is about 99.1% done for all three books. We're pretty excited. So naturally, for me, the animation was just a no-brainer, because if I asked for $10,000 and I got 25, I'm going to take it to that next level. We're going to do it. And the style I chose was because my nieces and nephews and godkids, they are not into 2D animation. They will not watch cartoons for anything. They just won't do it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a new generation, like the old Disney movies or, you know, whatever, Lion King. They would rather watch the Pixar Lion King remake versus the classic, which is amazing. So I wanted to do something between 2D and 3D. It's not all 3D. It's kind of like it's actually 2D. It's like a cartoon 3D-ish kind of thing. I can't really.
Backgrounds seem 3D.
Yeah. But it's right between the two. Where it's going to satisfy all of us in this room. Right, for, you know, we watch Transformers, Beast Morphs, and those kind of things, and it's also going to get new comic book people or just kids or new generations in. So I strategically chose that style just to entice us old heads, and then those younger. Hey, Ahmad, thanks for stopping by, brother. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Greg, what about you, man?
So, like, back in 2017, take it back. Dylan and I just wanted like a map for our comics, because we had this whole thing after talking about like our business and everything. What we wanted in our comics was continuity, and like Marvel and everybody else kind of breaks that, and we don't want to break that at all. So we have like a couple guidelines, like no time travel and a couple other things. But one of the things is continuity. So we wanted like a map. And what I first did was like I just drew on like Google Maps, and I was like, this is shit. So instead, I got my friend Scott, that knows how to like do 3D stuff, and he made a 3D map. And then he told us he was working in Unity, and we're like, wait, the video game software? He's like, yeah. And then we're just like, why don't we just make a game? So we are making a game that coincides with our comic universe. So every 2 issues of the Seer Chronicles, our flagship title, that's almost like halfway done. Every 2 issues of that, when those come out, there'll be like a new update of the game. So the first the first part of the game is coming out on Kickstarter August 9th. So yeah,
nice.
Be looking forward to that one. I've been watching you guys on that the game making for a while now. It's been really dope watching how stuff's coming together on that side.
It reminded me of when I was looking at it, reminded me of like the early years of City of Heroes or maybe Champions. The way that it looked, I was like, oh, okay.
I can't wait.
That's gonna be dope.
Are you referring to like Champions Return to Arms? Like,
oh no, I'm talking about the MMO RPG that they have.
oh yes, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
See, you know.
I was like old school arcade, like.
Oh no, like it was a newer one. Well, not like new. It was more like what mid 2000s, mid 2010s that are.
No,
so.
Just the whole idea, like at first I was 100% resistant to 3D stuff till I saw pricing. Then I was like, well, I mean, you know, I'd be open to some different opportunities if we can talk about it. But I'm still sold on 2D. Like there's something about it that it's because of my nostalgia. But like what I found is that I'm not looking to put out my first animation and have it be on Fate's level, because it's just, that's not how it's going to go down. I understand that. We'll get there. We'll get to a place where our animation is there, but I'm going to grow with an animation team is my plan. I'm not looking to come away from this with having just fundraised and produced an animation for myself. I want to come away with this having built a team that can now functionally push out animation in the same way we can now funnel out comic books. So to me, it's a long game thing. What you'll see from us, we're gonna part of our Kickstarter every week, we're gonna release one of the mini episodes of the remastered version of our pilot, because we did working with a great animator that I met through Fiverr, worked out. That's a lot of time. Like it's the full first episode, the full first comic book, and the entire second comic book both have fully animated, and parts of it are like really, really strong animation, and parts of it are kind of like filler animation. But that's kind of the way that we're going to fill our way to it and show you what the vision is, and then see if we can't get you to buy into that and grow with us. So I'm not looking to hit the home run on the first pitch here with animation. We're going to play small ball, and we're going to steal bases. We're going to make runs. We're going to manufacture runs out here with animation. So
yeah, that's perfect. I was just going to say, you know, you mentioned Fiverr, you mentioned starting small, and that was my next question. You know, each of you has a different path towards animating your project. How does someone get started? I mean, you said Fiverr, Tyler.
So I think Wilson had a good point, because everybody's always trying to push you into animation, right? Obviously, it's the natural form of progression when you're doing comic books, but people always, you know, our fans or family or friends are always like, hey, animation, you should do animation, not knowing how tedious it is, not knowing how financially strainful it is. And so even with our antagonist episode, it's 3D, but you can still see that it's like the movements are very stiff. It's not anybody's first choice by any means, right? But Oscar Alvaro, he is my animator, and he just kind of entered our DM on Instagram and said, "Hey, you looking for animation? Looking for an animator?" And I wasn't at the time. Absolutely not at all. No.
Now I am.
Yeah.
not looking into animation. You know, that's not, didn't even think I could ever afford something like that. And he actually said, you know what? Let me just prepare something for you. And so that first thing that that I dropped, like I had never even counted on an animation for the antagonist or for the Kickstarter, but I was able to use what he did for us as an incentive and a stretch goal. And so then we were able to fund the entire episode off of that. So Oscar is a godsend, but if he hadn't come to me, it's not something that I was looking into, guys. Like it's not something that I was ready for. So it's funny that you were saying that, Wilson, that it's just not this. We're not working on these perfected Emmy nominated. You know what I mean? It's just something for our fans and for, quite frankly, hell, for us.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because if you look at it with our comics, everybody, we have that one comic that's like our starter, our beater comic, and it's not the good one. And then we get better from there. So it makes sense. It would be the same animation.
It's crazy, not to cut you off.
Call it a beater. That tripped me out.
My beater comic on our website is $25, and it gets sold out all the time. It's the comic it's the Mega Woman version that I lettered myself. From my phone. It's grammatically, it is horrible. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I still have these prints. Let me see if I can move these. And because I did it myself, like, the regular comic is $4, and Mega Woman #1 is just $4. The perfect one is just $4, and the one I did myself that's completely effed up is $25. Yeah. So I turned for you guys. I turned my starter comic into like an exclusive print.
But that makes sense though. Like I think I told Britt before, like with my Orisha Exos, the very first one, it's freaking horrible. But but people have been saying like, hey, sell it. Like I will buy it. I'm like,
yeah, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you.
I sold the defect print for $50.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's what
some people believe. If people believe in it, you get this first run that, like, I've changed the branding on my issues 1 and 2 for the classic covers. So if you have the original branding, and I end up, doing what I know I'm going to do in game, like you've got, like my boy Max is always saying, you got lotto tickets sitting in your house if you've got those original covers. And
I think we underestimate even us, we underestimate our community a lot. We underestimate how far our fans are willing to go to not only help us continue to create, but just to make sure that we are still in the mood and still feeling like waking up and creating. I always go back to that Superman first print #1 that sold for millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? I always think about that, so they're paying $25 now, but who knows? Boom.
Did you see my second animation? Jerry, I did not.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, my 2-second animation. I thought it said second. No, Jerry, I did not.
I just 2 seconds is a lot of animation, so don't sleep. Like if somebody throws out 30 seconds of high quality animation, I'm telling you, I went to the studios. Like I put together my most of my pitch pack. That's what they told me. They were like, well, it's almost a pitch pack. And then I found out that when they're talking about you paying them $30,000 for, the 12 to 15 minutes that they're quoting you on, they're not even talking about the turnarounds and the storyboard. And they're just talking about the raw animation. You got to pay extra for all the front work and then all the finishing work. They're just talking about raw.
They're talking about sketches and the thumbnails. They're talking about sketches and thumbnails.
I don't know if it's true or not. I'm assuming it is, but Black Sands Entertainment, they're producing their own anime. They say it's about $150,000 an episode to Hollywood style anime.
Easy.
Golly.
I know you're spending more than that if you're making stuff like Fate, like the way that's just so much effects and so much. It's crazy. The lady said I could do anything between $1,000 to like $3,000 a second or some odd madness or a minute. It was something. I'll go find the email for you guys after this and show you. I still laugh about it every time.
Greg, video games. How somebody out there wanting to do this? How did you get into it? What's the first step they can take to start creating video games?
I had a friend. He always made like Flash games and stuff, but the one thing he wanted to always do was make like a racing game, and it's like nobody knows that yet that's going to happen. But in our video game,
well, they do now.
They do now.
Not this first round of the game, but the second round. When there's more story, we're going to unlock like a racing game type. So you're going to be able to race around the city, and all the cities, by the way, are based on cities I've lived in or around here, upstate New York. So yeah, they're based about those cities, like not the same names, but we like alter the names, and yeah, I made a whole world map and everything. I do way more than I should. But I'm learning Blender myself because I actually want to help my friend Scott with like, I'm going to make one of the cities. So for our other comic Inc., we're going to do other cities too, not just the main city that's in Seer Chronicles. We're going to do the Ballston city, which is based off of Ballston Spa, like 40 minutes away from here. And so right now it's kind of like a farm kind of town. It's pretty small, but like we're going to add like skyscrapers and stuff and make it a little more city-like. Since we're building out the second issue of Inc. right now, it just looks amazing. So the video game is going to just be awesome, and I figured out a way to add that actual character into the video game sooner than I was thinking. So yeah, Blender is pretty cool.
He gave us an exclusive, Britt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was an exclusive.
ICD exclusive.
Yep. Now the world knows.
I remember the video game, the whole idea of the video game, and the fact that you guys are already doing it. And this is what I love about being a part of the indie community is like when you see your fellow indie creators like do amazing stuff, you're like, that is amazing, and I too can possibly be even more amazing than I'm being right now. A video game, whoever thought you could independently turn out a video game, but you can do anything you put your mind to. It really is true for the most part. You just have to grind for it.
And I know how much of a headache that could be because I know when I was going for my animation degree, I took like a 3D modeling class where everything was like on the computer, but in 3D. And I didn't think a coffee table would be that hard to make, but shit's hard.
I've got Pro 13, and it lets you put bones because I don't draw, so like the idea of contributing to the animation is quite far fetched for me. But I can take. I can frame a puppet and move a puppet around. I'm practicing. Pretty soon you're going to see me start churning out little puppet movements, but it's a huge deal to do the animation. It's a lot of work.
I was going to the Art Institute of Atlanta, animation and media arts, and I remember one assignment was we were the sun, and we had to design a pen and have the sun and go around in the shadow of the shadow of the pen had to, and my pen is just like what are you doing right here?
All over the place.
My pen had some other invisible source of light. I don't know where. I still to this day don't know where that light was coming from. But after that, I was like, you know what? This is way too much. I would rather be the guy hiring the animator.
Being the animator.
Yeah. So
that's what I realized.
No, I mean, I would rather be the animator. I just don't know if I've got the juice for it, man. If I keep trying, I hit that frustration point so quick. I'm like, why can't I make the foot stay on the ground? It just says in this like YouTube University, like Tyler's talking about. Like I live by this. I educate myself on everything. But
I just learned how to letter from YouTube. I just learned how to letter, guys. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it one day. Not yet, but I just learned how to actually letter effectively on Photoshop. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
It's funny though you mentioned your college because that's where I was at for the same degree, but it wasn't Atlanta. It was Art Institute in Pittsburgh online. Okay. Media arts and animation.
Yeah.
Also, yeah. Like every once in a while, I'll jump back in it.
Dropouts.
Like, look at that. Now we're making comics and doing all this other stuff.
I need to change my Instagram name from Tyler the Animator to Tyler the guy who hires the animator.
Yeah, right. But I dive in animation every once in a while just to see if I still got it, and then I get frustrated. So, because it's just.
So, did you ever have it to see? You said to see if you still got it. Did you ever have it?
I was good.
Okay.
I was good with it. Like I was real good with it. But I hadn't done it in so long because when I was just like I'm done, and I was in the military then too, so I was busy with that, and then doing school, and I'm sitting here trying to make a ball bounce correctly, because they're like, we want it to bounce this many times, so you can't just do like an arc. You gotta make it bounce and do all the other stuff, but then
drop my gang.
Right. So,
Greg, you mentioned Blender a moment ago, and I'm not sure everybody out there might not realize Blender is actually a free software. Anybody can go download it. Anybody can learn Blender. Anybody, because it does have a high learning curve, in my opinion. So what are some other tools out there, Greg? You're doing this kind of yourself. What are some other tools out there? And Tier and Tyler too. You guys have had experience of this through school, even though you're part of the Dropout Gang. What are tools out there, either free or paid? But let's focus on free first, that people can get to start learning animation on their own. Greg, I'll let you go first.
Well, like there's Blender, and there's like a million things you can do in Blender. There's video editing. I did an animation actually like a couple months ago. It's like a hot dog on a plate, and you're putting ketchup on a hot dog. It took like 2 hours to make a 30-second animation like that. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I don't want to do that again. And then there's actually Unreal Engine. You can get that. I just downloaded that because not because of that, but there's a thing within that called Meta Human Creator, and it looks so realistic. And I just want to learn how to do that just to make my characters for my comics. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah. So there's that. There's actually 2D animation in Blender too. So if you actually know how to draw, I don't. So I wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, if you had like a tablet, you'd be able to do that. Also, sculpting is better with a tablet or like a Wacom type thing. I tried doing it with a mouse, and like the pressure on the mouse is not the greatest. Yeah. I made like an alien character, so that's the only sculpting thing that I did. I tried making Patrick Star, but it looks like an alien. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, did it start off as a human and became an alien? Because I know I've done that before with drawing. Like I'll be drawing a human, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be an alien. but I was gonna say the same thing. I think Blender is probably, as far as free, $3.99 Blender. Then Unity, also Unreal, which Unreal is still free, I think.
Yeah.
I know it was open source at one point.
Yeah, Unreal's definitely different than Unity, because I don't do anything at work. Like I have to go to work like at some point soon. I just watch like HBO Max or YouTube University. Yeah. Or so I was like watching videos on the difference between Unity and Unreal. Not like I actually know how to do that yet. Scott does that, but I have to learn at some point. And there's this one Norwegian dude that's making his own like boxing game, and he had a whole video about like the difference between Unreal Engine and Unity, and he uses Unreal, but like it doesn't actually need coding really, but like it does help. Unity, you can actually just get assets. There's a indie game that I actually bought like a couple months ago, or like almost a year ago. It's called The First Tree. And this dude did everything by himself. He took a bunch of assets, and it's like you're a fox. This weird animation kind of game. You're just a fox. You're playing as a fox, and you're looking for your cubs. It's a very depressing game because they're dead.
The fox finds the cubs.
So there's
circle of life, brother. Circle of life.
Yep. So there's the narration of the guy that created the game and his wife, and they're talking about, there's two storylines happening. So there's his story of like talking about his like loving his father to a point, and then like his teen angst and like how he just despised his dad. I'm like, all right. And then while you're listening to that happen, you're like running around as a fox looking for your maybe dead cubs. So there's that. But it's a really good game. It's just like, yeah. $10 on Steam.
Right.
Back to tools that people can use.
Yeah. There you go.
I would say, and Tier, I think we used Blender in at Art Institute, right? So that's the only one I'm really familiar with. My animator, I think, is using Unreal Engine for some stuff, but Blender for starters, like I would when someone asks me how do we do it, I just say Blender. Yeah. Like options, like options when you're starting something can be a killer. I mean, it's good to know what you know your strengths and weaknesses, but I always say Blender should be where everyone starts if you're seriously interested in it, because it's so educational, it's so user friendly. It's so how can I say? It's like for the dumbest person. I mean, so that's the only one I'm familiar with. I'm not like these guys. I don't know all this like extra stuff. These guys are experts.
I think one thing I would say though, if you're gonna try to do this stuff, you better go get you something that can power it. People buy these softwares and cannot use them because your hardware cannot power that. So just remember, it's not just the
$100 laptop isn't going to power it.
No, you're gonna need something with some ass behind it, like we say down here in the South. Don't need a little bit of ass behind that.
Yep, I know. I built my computer for that, and I could play like 2 games at once. That thing was a monster. I had to take it down though because I started concentrating on comics. I'm like, I can't keep gaming if I'm doing this because I'm the type that will game all night. so I had to get away from it.
Gaming computers need good video editors, good animated computers.
Yep.
I do want to shout out Fiverr because you can get some really great stuff off of Fiverr. Most of the motion graphics that we use at the Dispatch are off of Fiverr, and so look it up. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up, Wilson, because there's some great creators out there, not in America, who are making bank off of Fiverr because of people like us.
I taught a master class, our first Godhood Comics Schoolhouse, we call it. People who are interested in comic creating 101 would love for some of you guys to come on there as instructors. It's so amazing. We're basically teaching guys and young ladies things to prevent the things that we wish we knew when we just started out. I'm teaching those guys that in Fiverr. Looking for actual comic book artists has taken over Fiverr. It's like there's so many comic book artists from all over the world who are on Fiverr, and it's just easy. For me, it was just I had to go through all these comic book groups on Facebook to find my artists. You know what I mean?
I started DeviantArt and just DMing random people.
Absolutely. So imagine just having a shopping cart for comic book artists, and so Fiverr is like, boom.
Yeah, Fiverr is good, not just for just like a lot of different things that you may need assistance with where you just want to plug in a contractor type of deal. I still say that ultimately some sort of true partnership with an artist is superior for comic book creating.
Absolutely.
But to get yourself going to where people can start connecting with the work, as far as contracting people go, Fiverr is a good look. Fiverr, call me, put some money in my bank. I've said your name like 10 times. I know
exactly.
You should pay me.
If you're looking to sponsor podcasts, I mean, just let us know, Fiverr. Let us know.
Exactly.
Fiverr.com.
We talk to comic creators all the time, Fiverr.
Hashtag CNS Comics, Fiverr.
We'll just send them your way. Be like, hey, need some help? Go to Fiverr.
Tyler, you did mention your master class. I saw that going on. You had some awesome instructors for that first class. We didn't really mention you have a Patreon that you've kind of just launched. Why don't you, before we kind of keep going on with the show, why don't you give that a quick shout out?
Yeah, so I was very nervous to do it just because of the success with the Kickstarter. You never want to seem too greedy, but but the reality is the stuff we does costs money. Right, money that we don't have, and that's the reality. And so all of us get DMs and questions and comments about, hey, where's this issue? When's issue 4 coming? When's issue 5 coming? Well, you know what? You tell me when issue 5 is coming. All right? As soon as we get to a certain level. But yeah, the Godhood Comics Patreon is out now. I'll see if I can plug it into the chat. But it's super slow, but just to have it, just to know that people are subscribing to your thing, it's kind of exciting. So I'm looking forward to putting more promo into that and more content for that.
Yeah, and I got it up here. I'm going to drop it in the comments. It's patreon.com/Godhood Comics. And you can support for as little as $5 a month.
Yes,
we are over halfway through the show right now. We're in fact coming up with what would typically be our close. We'll go a little bit longer tonight. But do want to plug our Patreon too. We have a Kickstarter coming up, and like Tyler said, you never want to seem too greedy. But Kickstarters help pay the big projects. Patreon helps keep the lights on month to month. So go check us out if you have $3 extra a month. Patreon.com/Indie Comics Dispatch. We have a comic a month coming at you from Snowy Works LLC. That starts next month, our anniversary month. So. Tier, May 24th was when we posted your interview with Indie Comics Dispatch. You were the first interview.
Was I? That's cool.
You were?
I'm on the show. That's teary. That brings some tears.
Right?
Tears to
right?
my eyes. It sounds so self-centered, don't it? It brings tears to my eyes.
Tear. So let's get back to talking about animation. What are some lessons you learned along the way that maybe you weren't expecting to learn?
Greg first. Greg be on. He's speaking by. He's like quietly, like he won't. He's like he knows stuff over there.
Yeah, you go first, Greg. Oh, he's drinking. Okay. What I learned is, even though I love animation, it is not for me. As far as like doing it, like I have respect for it. That's the reason why when I ask an animator, like, how much do you charge? And they're like, well, how long do you want it to be? Just a minute. And then they tell me like $2,000. I'm like, I get it. I understand, because that crap's hard. Like, I fully understand. Especially if they're doing 2D, because that's what I was leaning more towards. That's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I, like everybody else, didn't really dig the 3D side of things, but now how more advanced 3D has gotten, like they use 3D animation and 2D animation in some animes, and you don't even realize that they're using 3D unless you know animation or know game making, and you'll see it. Like some of the dynamic movements that they're doing, and people are like, oh, that's some dope 2D animation. I'm like, nah, that's 3D. Like the camera movements they're doing, that's Cinema 4D. That's what they're using for those camera movements. I promise you. But yeah, so that's what I learned. It's time consuming. It takes a lot of time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Greg?
It takes a very long time to learn something in Blender. Like my hot dog thing. Like I don't know why making food is just like easy for me. Like I made a cookie. It's like I'm fat, so maybe this will help.
That was my thing with Blender, was just how long it took. I didn't have the patience for Blender, which means I don't have the patience for animation.
Yeah. My goal for Blender is to make like a short indie animated film thing. So like that's my goal. That's what I'm like aiming towards to do. That's insane. And also to like build assets for our video game. But
very cool. Wilson, what was one thing you learned along your animation journey that you weren't expecting?
If you don't animate, that's the perspective I come from. I have no skills whatsoever. The requirements of putting together like the professional packet seemed like a lot more than I realized. Like I thought that they would do this as part of animating. They don't do any of that stuff. Character turnarounds, backgrounds, storyboarding. None of that is included in your cost of animation. So I guess it was like stepping in one of those puddles that turns out to drown you, like you fall all the way in. That's how I would describe it. Like I found out very quickly that I was way out of my depth, but I could not turn back because of my tenacious nature. So I had to find some way to turn something out. But it was a lot bigger, a lot more than what I knew or understood. And now when I look at any kind of animation that gets done, regardless of the quality, I'm not a hater because that shit was probably hard to do.
Exactly. So you said, go ahead,
Tyler.
Well, first I want to say, I just realized, we all see each other's work on social media, but I just realized that Tier was doing Cypher Team, and I fucking love all the stuff that you guys do. I just followed you, but I've been seeing you guys' stuff for so long. Yes, I'm just like I'm fanning them out over you. If you see me like this, I'm looking at you guys' stuff. But no, for me, I'm gonna agree with Tier. I learned that it's not for me. I'm the kind of guy. I'm gonna have to be the kind of guy that ends up and saying, you know what, I want an animation. Do it. I'm not able to be the guy that's going to be in there. I'm the guy that's just like, I want it done. Let's get it done. Here's your pay. You know what I mean? And have someone else just kind of run it. I'm so fast paced. It's only me at Godhood Comics, and I think a lot of you probably can experience the same. When it's only you, it's so much you have to do that eventually as you grow. I'm at a point now where I have to outsource. I have to outsource. Obviously, I have to educate them on my universe and everything like that, but I'm just not. This is probably going to be my last animation project, unless we somehow get funded to do more. But yeah, it's just not for me as far as hands-on.
Yeah,
that's why I dropped out.
That's what I did. I looked at it and I was like, if I go back to school, I'm going back for business. And then I did, because I was like, I'd rather learn that, but yeah, that part that you were saying, because I'm pretty much the only one with SeerNova Comics too. I do have a think tank, a group of my friends that we used to game together and stuff like that, and one of them is doing a story that we're actually got in production right now. So I have that, and then the artists, the contractor artists and stuff, that my lead team of artists that I hire. But other than that, it's just me. So like, I'm doing all of the financial stuff, the HR stuff, the marketing stuff.
Yep.
The writing, the plotting of the entire universe. So I looked at it, I was like, and even I ink on stars too, so I still get my feet, but my hands dirty with the art stuff. But I was just, there's no way in hell that I can do all that by myself. Like it's because I know a lot of people ask, like, when's the next issue? You're saying questions you would say, when's the next issue? Or when's the new title coming out? I'm like, it's just me.
He's just commenting on the DMs I send him every day.
Yeah.
Tier, come on, dude.
Yeah. It's like, where's the Yamo Stigmata issue 3? I gotta repost that post. I gotta repost that cover again because I think people forgot about it.
I remember that episode of Family Guy when Peter inherits Peter Schmidt's money, and he just pulled out this wad of cash to pay people to do the most tedious things, right? You said, hey, you tie my shoe, and just money, give them money. Face,
Peter's so good for the economy.
I wish I had a wad of money. That's what we're all working up to. That wad of money. So when people say, hey, when is the next issue coming out? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
When is the next issue? It came out yesterday. What are you talking about?
You didn't get it? It was in the comic book shop.
I love your answer to that question, Tyler. I don't know when is the next issue coming out. Just turning it back around. I love that. That's so perfect for the indie world.
And you know what's great, guys, with Kickstarter and Patreon, I'm starting to learn that a lot of our fans and supporters, just in general, they want to help. They want to feel. I think that's why Kickstarter is so successful, at least mine, because the people that support you, these fans, they want a stake in the book. They want a stake in what you're creating. They want their blood in what you're creating. And I think that's what's so beneficial in what we do is being able to raise $25,000 for a comic book. I mean, that's for a comic book. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? For us, Keanu Reeves and Boom Studio, but we'll talk about that later. But
but it's for a dream, man. It's not really the dollars. Like, I'll spend these dollars so fast. Like, so that's why I say it's not about a lot of money. Like, ultimately, I'm chasing the ability to create an infrastructure that eliminates such a heavy need for money.
Absolutely.
That way I can do more with those dollars. And just have this vision of people who want to animate something not needing $30,000 for 15 minutes. I just can't go for that. I need to find a way to lower that upfront barrier. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get rid of the money, not need it all the time. But
yeah, I thought about bringing back because who remembers Newground? It used to be a website, Newground, and that's where the first that's where the first stick figure fights were on, because it actually started off as a game. You could play it on Newground, and then they started doing animations with it. So I even thought about doing that. Like, well, maybe I can do stick figures. Then I saw this one dude, I do not know his name, but he took that stick figure thing to an entire different level. I was like, nope, guess stick figures are up, because he had it looking like straight up Dragon Ball Z. It looked like Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, geez, it was crazy.
Really, well, gentlemen, we are over an hour, and so we're going to wrap it up. If you're not a patron, you're not going to see what happens next, because after we get off live, we're going to record a bonus question for patrons only. So you got to be a patron to get that bonus content. If you're not a patron, it's right down there. Right down there. Go sign up, patreon.com/indiecomicsdispatch.
I'm like this. If you're not a patron, you better back the Kickstarter. Like,
yeah, right? Right?
No excuses.
Speaking of Kickstarter, there it is. We're up to 41 followers. So if you had not following the project yet, my goal, which may be unreasonable based on feedback that I received earlier this episode, I want to get to 50 followers before we launch. Help us build momentum for day one. Let's just crush that goal. In the Kickstarter video, I say our goal is 1,500, and we have 3 projects. Foundation as a nonprofit. The ICD Awards are professional awards for the indie comic community, and then just year 3 programming or year 2 programming. And so all that totals up to 1,500. And if you know Kickstarter, if you know fulfillment, we're not banking 1,500, but that's our goal. So we're counting on the community to go a little bit above, a little bit beyond, and hopefully just crush that goal. And then everything we make goes back into the dispatch. And so just building stuff. So if you're not following the project, it's in the chat. You can search us on Kickstarter, Indie Comics Dispatch. Comics is with an X at the end. So
Brett and I do a lot of...
So Brett, I can bribe. I can donate a beautiful bribe for the Indie, the Indie Dispatch reward ceremony. So I got you.
Okay.
we do have a certain tier up there where Brett, should I tell them about it? Do you want to tell them about the tier? There's the special tier we have dealing with the show. The one
to be on the show? Yeah. There's a tier where you get to pick the topic for the show one night and be a guest on the show. We get to fill in the rest of the guests. You don't get to pick all the guests, but you get to be on it. You get to pick the topic. We only have 12 of those spots available. So, one a month for the next year, and you can be on that. So it's also the only place to get physical copies of Tales from the Dispatch, our anthology series that's coming out. So here's hoping. We launched May 1st, which is our anniversary month, 1 year. The first Indie Comic Minute debuted on May 14th.
Dope.
First interview, May 24th.
May 24th.
That's crazy, man.
Gentlemen, Wilson, Tyler, Greg, thank you so much for being on tonight. Next week, we got spy thrillers on, authors of various spy thriller comic books. So we're looking forward to that next week. And we're going to go record the patron-only bonus question now. Guys out there, thank you. Share this video when it's done. Help other people see this great advice that's going on. Build the community. Get more likes for Indie Comics Dispatch. Go follow the Kickstarter. Support us on Patreon. Greg, I want to let you do one more shout out because you have a comic book platform. People can sign up for free, and you're only 15 followers away from launching a comic book store on that platform. Tell them where they can find that platform real quick.
SeerNovaComics.com. That's SEER Nova Comics.com.
Go there, sign up.
If you want to pay, you do that /Nova-Nation, and it's $9.99 a month.
And how many comics you got on there? I've asked you that recently.
Over 80.
And that you can read right now for free.
And Tears, one comic is on there. So
gotta get the other ones up there.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
And back to Kickstarter.